Hello and welcome to the Living Scary Podcast.
The podcast where we talk about real-to-real horror so you can live vicariously through us.
I'm a little black box with a horrible secret inside that could probably kill you, and it's not Hellraiser. Logan and I like to watch and talk about horror movies.
And I don't ever want to play board games again, McCall, and I like to talk about true crime and murder.
We did it.
Woohoo!
And we'll see if this works. The program that we are using is throttling us.
Dude.
They are afraid of what we have to say.
Everyone is. They always have been.
Well, it's like, okay, because when we first started, it would say 120 hours. Well, no, 120 minutes.
120 hours.
We're like the guy that was stuck under the rock. Anyway.
Yeah. That impatient idiot.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was Bob's Burgers. I don't think he was impatient. I would gnaw my arm off in 2 seconds of being trapped.
Oh, it wouldn't have even been I wouldn't even had to have my arm under a rock. I could have been stuck in a gas station bathroom, and they're like, the door wasn't even locked. It was just jammed, and he bit his arm off.
He bled out. I don't know.
He did. All he had to do was wait 20 seconds for someone to get the key.
He just had to jiggle the handle a little.
But no, he gnawed his arm off.
I'm almost already out of my drink.
It's why I don't leave the house.
I don't like it.
That's where the death lives.
Every time we go out somewhere, I'm like, but
this could be it.
There's so many dangers. I'm so comfortable here. Have you seen this blanket? I can drape it over my shoulders all the time.
And this is where I think we differ, because I am very much I don't want to go out. And then the second I'm out, I'm like, okay, this is fun. I'm having a good time.
No, I do that.
Okay. I was like, because I could picture you kind of being like, no, I still wish I was home.
I hate it here. No, but I reach my maximum of being out potential. And then I'm like, I don't care what you have to say. I want to leave. I don't look at me. I gotta go.
Unless we get you drunk and high at the same time.
What? God damn it. Or in D&D where I reach my max and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to go sleepy.
Even though literally our last session, at the very end, I felt bad because it was kind of getting a little over, but you were getting sleepy and I'm like, McCall, this is literally something that's tied to your character's backstory.
You gotta get up. Bitch. This
section was literally written with you in mind.
My eyes one closes and the other one closes and I'm like, she's not making it.
I know. I was like, oh God.
We're
losing her. Brendan, rev up
shake her.
The EKG.
Someone start shock therapy.
Yeah.
I'm just so tired.
So pale.
I'm so pale. What are you talking about this week?
I'm talking about the movie Escape Room. Escape. And this is the one from 2019. This is the movie. There was another movie that was Escape Room, and Charlie and I watched it, and he thought it was this movie, and it wasn't that movie, and it really sucked. Because the movie that we watched was a sci-fi thing, that a sci-fi channel, and they did it. It's it started out promising, but then the ending got a little okay, this is
the sci-fi channel did some stuff that was bad. I'll say it.
That some sci-fi channel stuff was cool. Some
was cool.
Was not.
No, I watched this one when I was really little, and I shouldn't be watching the sci-fi channel, but I'd turn it on there anyway because I'd get scared.
Oh yeah, it's when you're sick at home and you see old horror movies online. I shouldn't, but I will.
But I have to. But there was it was Bigfoot. It was a Bigfoot one, which is already don't do that.
This explains so much of why you are the way you are.
All I recall is that there was a girl in the bathroom and there was a window in the bathroom. Which again, why do you have those? I don't want people. I'm in the woods, but I don't want anyone to see me shitting. I don't want a deer to look over and be like, ew.
No.
But
bathrooms need to be sealed off from all exits.
She was in the bathroom and then Bigfoot reached his arm in the window and pulled her out, and she snapped because it was a tiny window, so she snapped in half.
While she was diarrhea shitting.
I want to say she was showering, which again, why is there a window right next to the shower?
And they're all Bigfoot who saw Bigfoot? And then one guy was he was using the belt sander.
Sorry. Okay. Yes. Anyway, it wasn't the sci-fi one. It was the 2019 one.
Yes, it was in 1985. No, it was 2019. It was good. We had a good time watching it. Top build cast here. We have a few names. We have some names. One of them that was the most disturbing to me was Logan Miller. Was
too close.
I know, I was like, too close.
Get away.
And then he played Ben Miller, and I'm like, why'd they do this?
Why would they do that? Also, we lost connection for a second. Hopefully that was fine.
Oh, I didn't see anything. But,
it's probably fine. Whenever I see anyone with the name Logan, I'm like, you can't have that name. That's my brother's name.
It's a much more common name now, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. When we were growing up, I was the only Logan. I remember mom and dad telling people, like, they said that they would tell people what they were going to name me, and they were like, what?
Gross.
The only experience I think anyone had with Logan was Wolverine, and at that time,
and
the only people that knew Wolverine, it was a niche audience that knew that Wolverine's name was Logan.
Like, you were a weirdo.
Yeah, so
just kidding, Dad.
Yeah, so but then as I got older, it's like, I think by the time I was in high school, like, it was like towards the end of high school for me, it at one point was like the 8th most popular boy's name that year.
Whoa.
So it like rose through ranks. So like, then by the time I was out of college and I was working at Target, I'd have parents be like, Logan. And I had never had this experience before. Like, because I'm sure people named like John or...
Oh my God, it'd probably be so annoying.
It'd be like, you'd probably be like, well, you probably just used to it by that point. Like, they're probably not talking to me. Whereas the only time I've ever heard someone say my name is when I'm in trouble. Or like, it's like they're talking to me because I'm the only Logan.
And I'm in trouble.
Yeah. So like, I'd be working at Target and some mom would be like, Logan. And I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, who's
I didn't do it.
Exactly. And I'm like, who are you?
Don't take away my TV.
And then I'm like, oh, she's talking to the kid over there. Yeah. Like we, like at Lakeville South, like we were in a class of like 500 and I was the only Logan. So
yeah.
And now there are many more now, but
I have not met a Mnother McCall.
Yeah, still have not met another McCall in person. I've heard of them. I've definitely heard of them.
I know they exist.
Yeah, but I've never actually met one.
I've had people where I'll be like, oh, I've never met one. And they'll be like, oh, I know like 2. And I'm like, where? Who? Yeah, what? Where?
Fucking Ireland? What?
She's not real. Liar.
We've also got Taylor Russell. I was looking at these people just to see if I'd known anything. She was in one, Bones and All. I remember hearing about that one. It was one that came out last year, and I remember hearing it was good, but I didn't watch it. And then Jay Ellis is also in this movie. I looked through his stuff, and I was like, oh, unfortunately, I'm not familiar with his work. You. And then we have Tyler Labine, who at first I was like, your face. Like, I was watching it, and I was like, your face is familiar to me. And then it hit me. He was in Chuck and Dale versus Evil.
Who? Wait, was he Dale?
He was Dale. Yeah.
Yay! All right. Okay.
He was Dale. So he also voices Hunk in Voltron, which I think I mentioned during that episode too. But he does a lot of stuff. He's done a lot of stuff, and he was in this movie, and I enjoy him. We also have Deborah Ann Wall, who is another person who I was like watching her, and I'm like, I know you from something. And at first I was like, was she Foxface in the Hunger Games? Like, because she had like the red hair and everything. And I was like, but then I was like, no, I didn't. But then it hit me again. And I was like, she was the redhead in True Blood.
That bitch. I love that bitch.
Yes. Not like she's the nasty, so not the nasty one. She's like the one whose hymen kept getting broken.
Okay, wait.
She was not Tara's vampire person.
Okay, no, it's the hot one I was thinking of. God
it is the hot one you were thinking of.
She is so fucking hot.
Yeah, she's gorgeous. So, Oof. Okay. I can't remember.
Also,
Jessica?
You remember
Jessica.
You remember way too much about True Blood about the hymen thing. I don't recall.
I don't know why that stuck out to me so much about it, because I was like, it's bullshit. Because I'm like, okay, regardless of whether she's a vampire or not, if she's aroused, her hymen. Never mind. I don't want to get into it.
I don't know the specifics, and I am a woman, so we're fine.
Least, of course, what I'm talking about is like it's my knowledge that I've heard of in tertiary, so it's like,
through the grapevine.
Yeah, through the grapevine. So who's to say? Anyway, and then we have Nick Dodani, who I looked and I felt really bad. I didn't see anything of his that I recognized. And then the rest of the cast happens. But there was nobody that was like, whoa, this person, except for Tyler Labine and Deborah Ann Woll, where I was like, I know you two.
Yeah.
And basically, I'll just kind of get into it. Oh, well, it was 2019. It was directed by Adam Robitussin.
I was going to say that.
And it was good. I enjoyed it. So basically, it was a little telling because we're introduced to Logan Miller's character, who that name still scares me.
I don't like it.
And then we're also Jake, I believe, is his name. And, Ben. No, Ben. Wrong.
Ben.
Entirely wrong. Ben. We're introduced to Ben, Zoe, and Jason. Ben is like a grocery store clerk, and it was kind of funny because he's like a stock boy. He stocks the shelves and stuff like that. And at one point we don't have context for it, but like he's like, hey, I heard a spot opened up at like customer facing. I was thinking like I could use the extra money, and he's talking to his boss, and his boss is like, I don't think we could have you up at the front. And I'm like, because you're so butt fuck ugly or what? Like, I didn't know.
You're then, so of course, bad.
We're introduced to it then he's like, also, you should think of other ways to cool down after work. And of course, sitting on his desk at work is a motherfucking flask. Oh. And I'm like, okay, well, that makes a little more sense then. But without that context, I was just like, why? Because he's just so ugly or something? Because he's not. He's a handsome young man. I don't know how old he is. For all I know, he could be the exact same age or older.
Little baby.
Yeah, the little baby. I got to 30 and I'm like, everyone's a baby except for the people who are dinosaurs. I'm
Get out of here, you fetuses.
Exactly. At this point, it's like anyone younger than me is a fetus. Anyone older than me is
ancient.
Dinosaur. And grappling with the onset of menopause. Also, and it also applies to people who are like born in the same year as me, but like they could have been born in December of the year I was born.
Wow. You are strict with your thoughts.
And I'm like, you're literally a month younger than me. And I'm like, you little baby.
Doesn't count.
Fetus.
You don't know what I know.
You haven't seen what I've seen. Anyway, and then we're introduced to Zoe, who's a young college student who's very, very smart, who is like physics stuff, like getting into the quantum Zeno effect. And I was like,
the quantum zone. Oh,
the
Ant-Man over here.
Well, it's like a system cannot change while you're watching it is kind of what their lesson is.
Wait, so it's Schrodinger's cat?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay.
It's very much like it's a special tool that we'll use later. And then we have Jason, who's a young stockbroker who's like very successful, but also kind of a huge douche.
What? Like every stockbroker? Just kidding. I don't know.
Yeah. But they're all gifted these puzzle boxes, these little black puzzle boxes that they all have to figure out. And
from a man with a bunch of pins all over his face? What the fuck?
No, they all receive these from people who they suspect to be trusted sources. So Zoe's professor sends her one, Ben's boss sends him one, and Jason's rich client sends him one. And it's very interesting because I didn't actually get this pointed out, but Charlie pointed out to me that they all indicate by solving this puzzle how they're going to get through these escape rooms. Where Zoe, she just has the intelligence for it. She figures it out on her own. She's able to just like trial and error figure it out. Very Brendan in my mind. Ben brute forces his way through it. Like he like bangs his head. Like he's like freaking out about it. He's like hitting it a couple times. And
that's how I solve puzzles.
He eventually figures it out. And then the last one is, and I didn't even pick up on this until Charlie brought, and then Jason, he figures it out by watching tutorials for how to do puzzle boxes online.
Cheats.
So he uses other people's knowledge and experience, and he uses other people basically to figure out how to get what he wants.
And that checks out.
It's very, I feel, I didn't even realize it at the time, but the movie is very clearly indicating these kind of people's way of handling things. So these are our three main people. Eventually they find little cards in each of them that invite them to the Minos escape room for a chance to win $10,000 if they escape this escape room.
That sounds really fun.
It does until you
die about it. Like, I don't want that part.
Yep. And then we have, so they all get to this Minos place, and eventually we're introduced to our other 3 expendable characters. It was one of those things where we didn't get the background for these characters, so
we don't even care about them.
It's like, oh, Rudy, you're not going to live to see it. Like,
they're fodder.
I was like, well, I know who's going to die. But we're introduced to Amanda, who we eventually learn these things, but we learn that we have Amanda who has some mysterious burn scars on her back. We have a very well-meaning man named Mike, played by Tyler Bean, and Danny, who is an escape room enthusiast, who kind of join Zoe, Ben, and Jason in this waiting room where they're kind of like, what's going on? And then Ben's like, well, I would like to get a smoke now, please, because I am an addict, and that's how I show it in my character.
Nice.
And as he goes to leave, he pulls off the door handle, and it reveals like a lock. And so they've started the escape room.
Cool.
They're kind of, so of course, Danny being like the escape room enthusiast, he's like, all right, if this is the escape room, let's start looking for clues. And eventually Mike finds a copy of Fahrenheit 451. And Zoe's like, oh, because the lock that they found looks like an oven dial.
Oh.
And so she turns it to 451. Unbeknownst to her, what that does is it turns the room into a literal oven.
Oh.
And it starts to heat up. And so now things are like, so people are like, what the fuck? Like, what's going on? Like, people are panicking, except for Danny, who's like, it's to like, it's for authenticity. It's to get us like involved. And because I don't know. Well, because he like says that he's done like hundreds of them. So it's like, who knows the kind of stuff that he's seen.
I guess.
But we also like, it is also noticed that Amanda has like some uneasiness with the heat and the stress of the situation. And she gets her a glass of water from the nearby cooler. Eventually, through finding several clues, they find out that there's like spots that are like coasters on the table in the center of this waiting room. And when you push them down, they open a vent that lets you get out.
Cool.
And they're all supposed to be weighted down by water. And they drank one of the water glasses that was supposed to be used to
Amanda, you killed us.
So, but thankfully, as they're like, they couldn't fill up the last glass enough, but thankfully, Ben had his trusty flask, and so he was able to...
Why don't we just all piss in it?
I mean, yes.
That's fine.
Put a panic pee into it.
I will piss right in it. I don't care. I'll pull a saw. I'll open my veins.
Piss on your face and shit in my shit on these walls. Anyway, no, Ben had his flask and was able to fill it up. Which opened the thing, and all of them were able to escape into the next area, which is like this cabin kind of area. And they're all kind of like, yo, this is getting kind of serious. And Danny's like, nah, that was fake. It was like, girl. But they also find out that they are locked in this cabin. It looks like a winter cabin with like deers and everything on the walls and everything. And there's a lock on the door, and they have to use like a code, and it's like using letters. And they're kind of like looking around, and Ben realizes that on one of the walls where there's all these deer like antlers hung, they all have the first letters of all of Santa Claus's reindeer on them. And so he realizes that Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Rudolph is the code. Because we have a flashback where Ben was driving a car with his friends listening to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer before getting into a car accident.
Oh.
While they were all drinking and intoxicated and stuff. And of course, Rudolph is the code, which kind of gives a hint like there's something more to this than meets the eye here. But they leave this cabin into like this crazy frigid temperature room. It looks like like an Arctic wilderness. And I'm like, part of me's like, how much money do these fucking people have? Like, I don't know. It was crazy, but they basically start to go through that. And unfortunately, we do have our first casualty as like they eventually use an ice fishing hook to pull up this like block of ice with a key in the center of it. And they're like, hey, Ben's a smoker. He's got his lighter. And Ben is kind of a dick because he's like kind of being... because the whole time that this is going on, keep in mind, the whole time, Jason, the stockbroker dude, is a jackass to literally everyone.
What?
An absolute jackass, pretentious piece of shit. We do also get a little bit of his kind of backstory, a little bit where they find a coat because it's cold. It's like literally Arctic temperatures in this room. And they find one coat to share between them. And he has a flashback with this kind of coat that I don't think we learn quite yet about what it was about until later on. Oh, no, we do. I think at this point we do find out.
Never mind.
Well, no, I'm trying to remember. And I'm also trying to cross-reference the synopsis that is way too detailed, but also not detailed to the point that I want to. But so our first casualty is while Danny goes to pick up the lighter that Ben threw, something activates and he drops through the ice and they're unable to get him out and he drowns in the frozen waters.
Bummer.
It's quite unceremonious. And I was like,
yikes.
I do think we kind of get, like, if I remember correctly, we do get kind of no, wait, it happens later. No, it does happen later. Okay, so I'll just keep going. But they do eventually manage to do what the people in Saw don't manage to do, and they work together to like melt the ice with their own body heat.
Oh, nice.
So they can get the key out. And they do manage to get out of this room and go into the next room, which is a really trippy room because it's like a bar with like a pool table and everything looks fine until the whole room flips. And basically, it's like the billiard table is on the ceiling and they're all looking, but like the way the camera is shot, it looks like they're walking across the ceiling. It's pretty crazy. It's a little like, whoa. And like this music plays. And at the end of the music, after this sequence is completed, a portion of the floor just drops and they will fall if they are not careful. Eventually Amanda, we find out that she is like a military person. She was in a bomb. It was an IED, I think is what it's called. Is that what it's? Yeah, an IED blast. Killed everyone in her group except for her.
Oh.
That's why she has all the burns on her back. So she uses her military training to climb her way back behind the bar where she finds a safe. She's able to figure out, using Zoe's smarts, they're able to identify the code. And she managed to get the key, which is like an 8-ball, because then they can unlock a door handle. It's like a circular door handle. And she's going across to give it to them. Everybody else has made their way to the other side of the room where this door is. She's kind of making her way across. And at one point she goes to do something. I can't remember what happens exactly, but she ends up dropping the ball literally onto the only remaining platform. And it's funny because everyone's like, don't do it. Like whatever, it's fine. And I'm like, it's not fine. Because if it falls, then what are we going to do? Although, which brings up an excellent point, because if Amanda had made her way to this door, which the door was on a platform that, as far as we know, doesn't fall, what then? Because they're all like, hey, we're stuck.
I guess we'll die.
But Amanda realizes, shit, I gotta, and she jumps onto the platform, gets the ball, throws it to the people, and then she falls to her death.
Aww.
And given the attention that they gave to her, I was not expecting her to go as soon as she did.
Quick aside, I think we're going to run out of time.
All right, we're back.
Oh, wait, and, Amanda died.
Logan can't remember. Yes, Amanda died, and they made it through into the next portion of the room. So
Rip in
sad.
peace.
Rip in peace, Amanda. We basically have a brief... This next section is kind of like, all right, now we're going to unveil everyone's tragic backstories.
Oh, good.
We definitely get that Zoe has a flashback to she was in a fatal plane crash in Vietnam, which killed everyone on board, including her mother.
Wait, she was in Vietnam, the country or the war? Really quick.
The country. They were traveling through the country. It's set in modern day times.
God, I didn't know.
Zoe's a young college girl. She was traveling in Vietnam with her mother.
Got it.
But it killed everyone on board. We already got the kind of idea of what happened to Ben. Him and all his friends were out joyriding and they'd all been drinking. And Ben was driving and they all got in a car accident because they walk into the next escape room. The next escape room is everyone's hospital beds because everyone had been in some kind of hospital situation. Mike was a miner and there was a collapse that killed everyone, including his brother, but he survived.
Ouch.
And he was like, I had to sit there and listen to my brother suffocate to death. And before this rescue teams got to them, we figure out that Jason, there was his boat. He was out in like a fishing thing, and it was like out in like very cold weather. And their boat capsized, and him and his friend were at the boat, and his friend suffered from severe hypothermia, which caused him to go crazy and swim out into the middle of the sea. And Jason had the coat.
That will happen if you have hypothermia. I don't remember what it is called, but that is
where you start taking off all your clothes, right?
Yes, it is like a symptom of it where you feel like you're overheating, so you like start to strip and stuff, which is like crazy pants. I didn't know that.
But they were like saying that he was like hallucinating. I'm like, I don't remember hallucinating being a part of.
I don't remember that part in what I've heard, but it's like hysterical something.
But and then of course we do know Amanda. She saw like there was an IED blast that killed everyone in her squad except for her. And Danny, everyone in his family was killed by a carbon monoxide poisoning except for him.
Whoa!
So it's a group of people who are literally they're final girls. Like it's a group of final girls.
Cool.
And Zoe quickly puts together that this game was them trying to like pit the luckiest of the lucky against each other to see who was the luckiest or the smartest. And Zoe's like, Zoe pulled a Katniss Everdeen and was like, we shouldn't be playing their game.
No.
And she was kind of pulling back to the quantum thing where it's like, it was like a system cannot change while you're watching it. And what they've been noting is that there are cameras in every room that they're in. So Zoe, to them, it seems like Zoe's gone crazy. She's going around busting all the cameras in this room. And she's like, no, this is how we win. We outplay them. We outmaneuver them. And I was talking with Charlie, and I'm like, I absolutely would be on Team Zoe. I'm like, no, we don't want to play. We don't need to play this game. It's like, what's going to happen? Okay, they're going to gas all of us, and then what do they lose? And then what do they win? Like,
yeah, I mean they're kind of in charge, so yeah, you got to flip the tables.
Exactly. So
how the turntables.
Of course, the rest of the team does not believe in this, and so
God damn it, you guys! But
they realize that an EKG is kind of the thing, and they need to achieve a certain heart rate. And what they originally mistakenly believe is they need to reach a high enough heart rate. And so they take a defibrillator and Jason convinces Mike, hey, Mike, we should do this to you.
What?
And Jason kills Mike.
What the fuck,
by
Jason?
Shocking him too much with an EKG, only for then fucking Jason to realize he needs to get his heart rate down to a certain extent.
Oh, well, he's not going to be able to do that for some time because he just killed a man.
Yeah, so, but he does. He manages to get his, which to me says, okay, you're a sociopath.
He's a psycho.
You just killed a man and you're able to get your heart rate to 50 BPM.
So
you're
did he just take a couple deep breaths and he was fine?
He literally just went into the room and was like meditation. And I'm like, you crazy son of a bitch.
Fuck. It's like that crazy scene in Wolf of Wall Street where
yes,
what's his face beats his chest for a while and you're like, what
is going on? It's like, that's like, how many heart attacks does that make? That'd be a baker's dozen.
Jesus Christ.
But Ben and Jason are like, let's go. And Zoe's like, no, this is not how we
You
win.
just killed a guy.
And she's like, she collapses after disabling the final camera after being poisoned.
Oh.
Well, Jason and Ben enter the fifth room, and it's optical illusions. It's really trippy. And of course, Ben is pissed off about how Jason fucking killed Mike.
I would be too.
Not help Zoe. And then Ben goes, like the rest of us were lucky. I don't think you were lucky. I bet you killed your friend. And you took his coat, and that's how you survived.
Yeah.
And Jason all but admits to it by being like, survival is a choice. Basically saying he killed his friend to survive for this red parka.
He's a sociopath.
Yep. But eventually, Ben, there's a hatch, and so they go to the hatch, and the hatch has some kind of like hallucinogenic that's absorbed through the skin. and they start tripping out, and eventually Ben finds the antidote, and then Jason sees that Ben has found it, and Jason starts to beat Ben, like to fight Ben. But then Ben eventually does manage to kill Jason by smashing his head into a corner of the table.
Woo!
But unfortunately, Jason does also break Ben's leg, so it kind of makes it hard for him. And then the final room opens, and I didn't mention this at the beginning, but the opening scene is Ben like falling into this like nice like lounge room with like a big fireplace and like card table and everything. It's very nice. It's very rich. And eventually it gets to the point where he finds it on the one side of the wall, there's 10 digits, and he has to figure out the right combination of numbers. It basically does a Star Wars, and the room starts to collapse in on him. And that's kind of the beginning, is it kind of, the beginning stops right before the room crushes him.
In media res.
Yes, it's in media res. And then it begins.
I bet you're wondering how I got here.
And then it begins, the whole, like this next scene begins with him like almost being crushed, but then realizing if he just takes the shield and goes into the fireplace and blocks the fire from himself, he can kind of get through the gap, which then of course is him solving the final puzzle.
Is Zoe just dead?
We'll get to that.
Okay.
The game master meets him and kind of is like, he explains the process. He's like, the purpose of the games is like, there are Richie Riches who are betting on the survival of people.
Oh, fun. And not fun, like, I want them to be guillotined, but like, cool concept. And they always want themes for the competitors. He was like, before that, it was college athletes. Before that, it was like something else. It was like, and then he's like, this one, they wanted to see if lone survivors, if it was really luck or if there was some kind of skill to it and if they could survive that. Is it always escape rooms?
It's always escape rooms, and they want bigger and grander escape rooms. And then Ben's like, so I won. Can I leave? And the game master's like, what do you think happens at the end of the Kentucky Derby to the prize horse? Like,
it gets to go live on a farm.
It gets to go live on the farm. Well, then the game master tries to kill Ben. Well, then it flips back to the room where Zoe had collapsed in. And like these people are going and cleaning up the bodies. And they're like, hey, we got 2 bodies here. And one of them goes, oxygen mask. What she's going to do that for? And she picks up like a bludgeoning object. She goes, to breathe, bitch. And she smacks the shit out of both of them and takes one of their guns.
Nice.
And then as Ben and the game master are fighting upstairs, Zoe manages to, I don't know, hack into the system and add the game master to the game. It's very Hunger Games in that, like, there's a picture of all of their faces and it's like eliminated.
You have brought up Hunger Games thrice.
It's very that. Well, because it's very that. Basically, Zoe and Ben managed to kill this guy.
Woo!
They managed to actually starch his ass. And they escape. Well, frustratingly, they go to the police. The police bring Zoe back to the place, and this whole place has been scrubbed. And it's like, there is no way they could scrub this whole place that quick. I don't care how rich you are. You could not scrub that whole place within a few hours with all the shit that they had.
They walk into an empty room and just like $2 $50 bills blow in the wind.
Yeah, it's like, there's no fucking way. And so, but basically it becomes like, what are you waiting for? Where Zoe's like freaking out. She's like, no escape. Cause like the whole time there is also there's been an anagram the whole time, which is Dr. Wu Tan Yu. And it's an anagram for no way out.
Oh.
And she's like, it's what they want. There's no way out. But then like 6 months later, Ben and Zoe are doing fine. They get together. Zoe has not let this go, though, because she's like, all those people died for no reason. I don't want them to die for nothing. And she's like, I triangulated their location. It's in a building in Manhattan. And Ben's like, dude, do we really have to? And she's like, I've already booked our tickets on a flight. And he's like, okay.
All right.
It cuts to a scene on a flight where like the flight's going down and they're trying to figure out a fucking escape room on a plane.
God,
but it's not them. It's like the flight attendant and like a couple flight attendants trying to do it. And they're like freaking out and they're like, we figured it out. Let's open the door. And then it turns out like it kind of sits and it turns out it was a simulator for a game. And they're like, all right, well, thank God that they booked, and they're like, thank God that Zoe's gotten over her fear of flights. We'll be ready for her when her flight comes along. So basically hinting at a sequel, being like, all right, so if they're going to come to us, we're so rich that we can literally have one of our own fucking planes placed on a goddamn airstrip with nobody noticing or caring or being paid off. Like, I don't understand that kind of shit. But I'm like, that's where it's like the movie kind of got to be a little crazy, as if the other rooms weren't crazy enough. Like, I was like, all right, this is getting to be a little.
I mean, they could just like murk them like regular style.
It's like, or you could just take this gun
and kill them.
But overall, I enjoyed it. And there is a sequel. I may or may not watch it. We'll see.
I may or may not. All right. Well, I liked that. I thought that sounds fun. I like escape rooms.
I would recommend it. It was fun. And it's on Amazon.
Woo! Prime or Shudder?
I think it's just regular.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
I think it's just on Amazon. Let me just double check that. Please. Please, no Steppy.
Please, no Steppy.
Oh no, it was on Hulu, I think, actually. So if you have Hulu, you can
I do, because I have yours.
Yes, you do. But it is on Hulu.
Yeah. All right, sweet. All right, well, is it my turn to make you bummed out?
Yes.
But like, okay, I'm not going to give away the ending. Anyway, So I got my information from a Cinemaholic article by Shahram Mitra and an episode of I Survived titled The Box Became My Safe Haven. So, quick
I think
intro.
You said that the box became my safe. I think I already know what you're talking about.
Oh, God damn it. So
I think, who's to say?
To begin, I have the woman's full name, but in the I Survived, they only gave her first name. I am just going to use her first name in the effort to maybe she was like, hey, maybe don't use my last name. Maybe leave me alone.
Hey,
so
maybe consider.
I'm just going to say her first name. I mean, if you really give a shit and I give you the details of the case, you can look up her goddamn last name. But just in case she didn't want her last name used, I'm not going to say it. So Anita lived in Kokomo, Indiana, and she graduated from college with a degree in computer science. And she's, 21. She's got plans to go to lunch with her grandparents and her boyfriend. And it's just like a pretty chill day. She just graduated. So it in my brain, I didn't write down the dates. Oh, wait, I definitely did. It's June. So it's summer. She's just chilling around her house. She's getting ready to go. She's described as a kind-hearted and generous person. She works somewhere else currently, but she used to work at a fitness center. And there was this weird, creepy dude that he was around her enough where she knew his name and knew that he was just a weird, creepy dude.
Mm-hmm.
Not but if you know someone's full name, you know him enough. His name is Victor Steele. And she kind of knew him as that weird guy that smelled. He would come around and she'd be like, wow, that guy stinks. So he's the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Take a goddamn shower. But, I mean, she doesn't work there anymore. But on June 25th, 1988, she's at home alone getting ready to go to her lunch date. And this guy, Victor, comes to her front door. And she's like, hey, guy.
Hey, you.
That would be so, a very surreal interaction to be like, I know you, but how do you know where I live? But he asks her for a glass of water. And
casual sugar water.
Yeah. She's like, that's weird, but she's a nice girl. And she says, sure, I'll get you some water, man. She turns around to go get him said water. I assume she lets him into her house, or he follows her in and she doesn't know. I'm not sure. And he tases her 3 times with a stun gun.
Jesus.
and takes her to his car. Not his car, sorry, he steals her car. So that's really scary.
Yeah.
So she wakes up in the trunk of the car and is bound and is like, holy fuck. He brings her to, I think it's his house. He brings her to a house in Indiana. And he, at first, like when he attacked her, was like, I just want to rob you. No one's going to get hurt. And then when she's like bound up at a second location, he's like, okay, cool. So that first thing was a lie. I am going to sexually assault you. And if you don't want to be in this scenario, I could just kill you and just find someone else. Like, it doesn't matter to me. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, I want to live.
Well, you know.
Yeah, like in her mind, she's like, oh, I don't really have a choice here. She does know the area though. Like she grew up in Indiana. She's like, I know where I am. I can find my bearings. But he then's like, hey, cool. Get back in the car. We're going somewhere else. So he brings her to an even scarier third location, which is like,
not good.
No, if a second location's bad, a third location's even worse. So she goes all the way to Wisconsin, and she doesn't know this area. So he brings her to this weird, it's an old church that's being renovated. It was renovated and it was turned into an office building. Like it's a really weird space. I picture it really gross and like old. And he brings her to this metal box. And he's like, get in. And she's like, what? And she has to be confined in this tiny metal box. And she's really claustrophobic when she's in there the first time. And it's really hot because it's the summertime. And she can't breathe.
It's metal.
And it's fucking metal. But she can't breathe inside. And in the I Survived, she was really funny because she was like, and he brought me out the first time and I said, you got to figure out a different way to do this because I can't breathe in there. So, and he's like, well, I can't put you here. Like, the way she explained it was just kind of like, wow, damn. But it
was hot in there.
It was hot. But so he brings a fan, I guess, and like puts it near the metal box so she kind of gets some airflow. And after that, you'd think the metal box would be like a horrible prison, but it's kind of like her safe haven because she doesn't have to be around him when she's in it. So she is sexually abused and tortured and kept in that box while she's kidnapped. He would also take her out to watch movies and play board games, which sounds awful. Like, I'm not going to get into the abuse and stuff because it's very upsetting. And if you want to hear more about it, you can watch the I Survived episode. But the thought of like having to go through all of that and then having someone be like, okay, we're going to watch Top Gun now. Like,
or watch Top Gun and play Stratego.
I'd be like, what? No, I'm not going to have I'm not going to do something quote unquote fun with you. Like, so, but in the I Survived episodes, she was like, play board games or be raped. I'm going to play board games all day long and pretend like I like it. Like, it sounds so scary and surreal to like be in that scenario. But so she's living her time in this tiny little box and having just like a horrific time, but she knows people are looking for her. She's like, I have a family. I literally had plans that day. Like, I know people are like, where did I go? So she's just like, she can't get out of the box. The box is like dark. There's no escape, like hatch or anything. Like, she cannot escape it. And if she's not in the box, he is next to her at all times. So right away, she didn't show up to that lunch date, and her boyfriend's like, something's wrong. So he calls her parents. Her parents are like, they call the police, and her boyfriend is immediately a suspect. He's given a polygraph test.
It's one of those things where it's like, I get it. I mean, we know he's not. We know he's not.
We know he's not now. But usually, yeah, it is. I mean, like when bad shit happens to someone you know. Murder passion.
Crime of murder passion.
So, yeah, like I started talking and then I like took a sip. I was like, why did I do that?
I was like, all right.
Okay, weird time to choose to do that. But her boyfriend, like, so he just finds out his girlfriend's missing. He is then having to take a polygraph test and he doesn't pass because he's freaking out so bad. Like, polygraphs aren't infallible. And
they are just as likely to get someone in trouble.
Yeah. Like, if you're nervous or upset, like your girlfriend's missing, you might not pass. So the police are like, well, I don't know about this. And then on day 3, the police are kind of going through all the people that knew her, and they do interview the manager of the gym that she used to work at. And Victor was so fucking weird that the manager, like, knew his name. Like, oh, ding, ding, ding. I'll remember that fucking weirdo. So he's put on a list. And the police are like, oh, he has prior rape charges. So guess what? I feel like that's not good.
He's just been bumped up a little bit in the list.
I feel like he's a very good suspect. They interview Victor's mom. And she's like, yeah, my son left very suddenly. I don't really know. But they track him down to his new location. And they raid that bitch. So the SWAT team breaks in.
They SWAT team that bitch.
They SWAT it. They break in and they find her in her box. And they take her to the police station. They let her talk to her parents on the phone. She had been trapped in that house with that man for 8 days. So she had to go through, like, you're in this horrible experience. Then the police come and they save you, but you can't see your parents yet because you're in Wisconsin. So then you have to, like, take a plane. But, like, also at first, before you get on the plane to see your family and have some sense of normal people around you, they have to do the sexual assault testing at the hospital, which is not fun, I assume. But they have an SANE nurse who she said was very helpful. And I did not know that this existed.
I would hope that most nurses are sane.
It's a sexual assault.
I would hope that not all of them are nurse ratchet.
Yeah, hopefully. It's a sexual assault nurse examiner. So they're, like, specially trained for these kinds of scenarios. So I appreciate that that's a thing that exists that helps people I didn't know about. That's pretty cool. Then, so she had to do that right after getting taken out of a fucking metal box.
I feel like that would be hard.
So that would be
very difficult.
Jarring. And then she has to give her statement to the police, which the police were like, well, you can, like, sleep because you're probably really exhausted, or you could give your statement and then you can go home. And she's like, I want to go the hell home. So let's go.
Let's wrap it up.
Let's get me out of here. And they take her to, like, Burger King because she hadn't eaten anything because she'd been in a box. And she's like, don't worry, I'll pay you back. And the policeman's like, ma'am, I have it.
Ma'am,
it's
do
okay.
Not worry.
Please. You're making me feel bad.
Let me get you this Whopper.
I confront you this one fast food meal.
Yeah. I think it's within my paycheck. My pay
I can
grade.
handle it. So then she is flown home to be with her family. One weird thing that I get but don't get is, so she's on the flight. You're thinking that you're going to get off the plane. And this is 1988, so people can like meet you at your gate, which is wild. But her family's not at the gate to say like, hey, we love you, we missed you. Because the police purposefully gave her family the wrong gate to prevent any paparazzi or like news journalists from following them and like harassing this poor girl.
Okay. I think it's one thing where it's like, I think that's fair, but you should let the people involved know.
Yes.
Like, sorry, family, you will get to see her. We just are going to use you as a decoy because we need to get her out without paparazzi bombarding her.
Yeah, like I kind of get not telling the family because you don't want them to look weird or robotic or have someone be like, well, I want to see her. And then they go to the right gate.
But you absolutely should have told the girl, like, your family's here. They're just at a different gate. We just want to get you out so that you weren't bombarded by paparazzi.
She did not know.
Oh, so lovely.
She gets out.
Let me guess, that's not what happened.
No. She gets out and she's like, my family's not, they didn't come to like see me. Which is really like, that
would be disheartening.
Yeah, but I mean, she then finds out like almost hopefully immediately that no, they're at a different gate, they're coming to get you. There are a lot of things that you don't think about in the aftermath. Like, just kind of dealing with this person that has been through something horrifically traumatic. Like, after she's found, she has no clothes. Like, she's been taken to Wisconsin. She didn't pack a bag. She was stuffed in one. And so the police, in her, like, I Survived interview, she's like, they were all guys, but like some guy's wife, like, gave me some of her clothes. And then I was like, I don't have anything to sleep in. So then she had to go to like, the wife went to Walmart and like.
So they went to a fucking Walmart?
Yeah. Like bought her a bunch of stuff. Like she didn't have any deodorant. She didn't have anything. Like, and the police are like, oh shit. I don't fucking know. So yeah, there's just so much that you don't realize. And then you're in the moment and you're like, she doesn't have anything. So, and then she gets home after being through all of this, and her whole community that she's lived in her whole life knows what happened. Like, they know she got kidnapped. It's been in the papers. There's signs all over town of like, kind of like different process. Like, have you seen me? Oh, she's here. Like, thoughts and prayers, all that fun stuff. Her house,
all those lovely epithets. Yes,
and her house is covered in flowers. People keep coming to visit, but it's like really awkward because she doesn't know really what to say or like how to act anymore. Everything's weird. She did go to therapy. She did not want to at first, but it was helpful and kind of helped her work through some stuff. The trial is in 1999, so a year after. Victor Steele has decided to represent himself because
like most fucking crazy people do.
Because he's an asshole. And it's like crazy.
Alcala.
Yeah, it's weird that happens and they do that. But the important thing to remember on this case specifically, it's not like a Ted Bundy where everyone's dead and he's just an asshole standing there representing himself. She is still alive.
There. The victim is right there.
And he, as his own attorney, in quotes, she has to be, what's it called? She has to testify and he has to like have his, you know, like the defense and the prosecution do their questioning or whatever.
Yeah.
So she like has to sit down and have a face-to-face conversation in front of a whole jury about her kidnapping with her kidnapper.
I feel like that wouldn't, I would hope that kind of shit would not fly nowadays. Does it happen nowadays?
I think it would.
Did they have that in the 70s?
Because you are allowed to represent yourself.
I'm sorry, though, if your victim is like to take the stand, I don't think you should be allowed to question them.
Question them?
I don't think.
Yeah, I mean.
But that's because I'm a drink in and I'm angry at this man.
And I'm frustrated.
Yeah. So it's like, who knows? Maybe there's a reason, but I don't think that should be something that happens. I think it should be like, no,
don't boss me.
Yeah.
Yeah. In her interview for I Survived, she was like, his rights? What about my rights? I should not have to see him. I shouldn't have to talk to him. I shouldn't have to go through this.
Exactly. She should not have to fucking deal with that.
So, yeah, I mean, that happened, and basically they were like, whamp, wheat womp. I don't know. And this strong fucking woman is like, all right, I guess I will look you in the eyes and answer your stupid fucking questions, because he was going like totally not guilty. I don't know anything. I've never seen this woman. I'm being set up.
You're insane, because literally the police found her at your house.
So she's just like, she has to go through this whole thing. It is crazy that had to happen, but she did it. She did her thing. She went through everything. She's amazing. He was found guilty on charges of kidnapping, carjacking, illegal possession of a firearm, and using a firearm to commit a felony. He is given life.
Sexual assault?
That's probably in there. I wrote it fast. He is given life with an additional 25 years and no chance of parole.
Love it.
Which is awesome, because apparently I don't know legal shit at all. Don't know.
No. I never understand why they have to have consecutive life sentences or that kind. It's like, no, a life sentence should be a life sentence.
Your life.
Like that.
You spent it.
Yeah.
I guess, but this one, she explained that her legal team explained that if he didn't get life without parole, she would have to go through there's the federal case, and then there's state cases that you can subsequently do if you want to keep him in jail. So if he didn't get it here, she would have to keep going to court, and she would have to keep doing this bullshit in order to keep him away. So thank God that she didn't have to do that, and he is in jail. He has never admitted to what he did. He continually will say that he didn't do it. He has tried to sue her and her representation multiple times, kind of just as a way to harass her, I would assume. Because they never go to court or anything. He just never shuts up.
I would assume that sane nurse was like, the sexual assault kit came back as you.
You did it, asshole.
Ding, 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 asshole.
God damn. And then in 2010, Anita co-authored a book with her therapist, Angela Rogner. The book is called 8 Days in Darkness, if you want to read that. And she currently prefers a low profile. She works as a firefighter, and she did stuff for, she learned healthcare in order to save people's lives for being a firefighter and everything. And she just sounds like a badass. I don't know. Being a firefighter would be so stressful after I just had a very stressful time. And I just think she's really cool. But that was my story, which is Anita's story. So it had a happy ending because she got through it. She's a boss. She wrote a fucking book, and she's just doing it.
Excellent. I'm glad that it's all over.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. And it actually was not the one, because there was actually a very startlingly similar case that happened in 1977.
Oh, God.
Colleen Stan was hitchhiking from her home in the 70s, which is always a good idea.
People loved hitchhiking.
Yeah, they did. And that scares me. But
I'm so happy we don't do that anymore as a society.
Basically, she got picked up and a guy kidnapped her and then pretty much kept her in a box.
Put her in a box.
Put her in a wooden box. She was in the box 23 hours a day. Stop putting people
in boxes. Jesus.
Yeah, it was bad. And I think she was in there for a long time.
Jesus Christ.
Let me just double check. She was in there for a couple years.
Oh my God, I don't like that. I don't want to.
Yeah, she was in that box for several years, it looks like.
All right, well, that's a nightmare.
Yep.
Whew, okay. It's my turn.
She escaped. She
escaped. Oh my God, Jesus Christ. Okay, sweet. Woo! Let's do a sibling story because I'm crumbling. So my sibling story is from high school.
Oh, throwing it back.
So this is just a McCall sibling story, but it is hilarious.
Well, we've gotten to the point where we have exhausted a lot of our more well-known in our
classics.
Stories. Yeah, our classics. Where we're kind of grasping.
This is when so I was in the drama department. If you couldn't tell, if we haven't brought it up.
We were both drama people.
We were weirdos.
Still kind of are.
Yeah. This was my senior year, so Logan's graduated. I have my own car. I'm doing my own thing.
That was my car.
That was your car, and then my car.
That was also, it was kind of, well, actually, it was Dad's car.
Yes.
It was Dad's car.
No, not the Tempo.
No, I know, but the Cassidy was still technically his.
I guess. I mean, he owned it, yes.
And he
but it was gifted to us.
Yeah, and he dictated who got to have it when.
Yes. But I'm driving home from my boyfriend's house. And the musical that summer that we were doing for school was Les Mis.
That summer?
Sorry, it was hot. So it was probably spring, whatever.
Spring musical.
So I'm practicing for the musical. And I am practicing I Dreamed a Dream like my life depended on it. Constantly.
You were Patti LuPone.
I was. And I'm driving home at 12 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night because I'm definitely past my curfew. And I am giving the performance of a lifetime. No one's ever done it this good. And I see siren light. Whoop. And I'm like, oh, they probably want to pass me or something. So I
no.
I veer over and they veer with me and I'm like, oh no. So I get pulled over for the first time in my very young life and I'm shaking. I am like a leaf. And I roll down my window and the guy's he looks kind of startled at my very shaken presence. And he's like, oh,
he was expecting a fully grown drunk man.
I think he was picturing someone much older and very drunk because I was apparently swerving a lot because I was serving I Dreamed a Dream.
You were serving Fantine.
Fantine.
For the house down boots.
He cut me off before the end of the song, so we'll never know how good it would have been. But so he takes my shit.
You had to use that emotion.
He took all my stuff and he walked away and he came back and he was like, you can just go. You're fine. You're obviously sober. I just thought that you were not sober, but you're good to go. And I was like, thank you. And I shuffled away feeling different. And I drove home. And I can now never listen to that song without feeling a little bit of fear.
A little fear.
Because I thought I was going to go to jail. I've never been pulled over. And I was very sober. I want that to be known. I just was an actress.
Have you been pulled over since?
Yes.
How many times?
Just one other time.
How many times have you gotten tickets?
Okay, well, one time he gave me a ticket for not having my insurance card when I didn't stop at the stop sign. And that was pretty baller of him. Logan's a little bitter.
Yeah, I would say, you want to know what happened the first time I was ever pulled over after having my license for a decade and speeding a little bit?
You were speeding? You were speeding way over.
Okay.
No,
here's what I will say.
I was in the car.
No, I know you were in the car, so I cannot fib. I was definitely speeding, but it was like I was like
it was a speed trap.
It was a speed trap because literally, like maybe a block or two away was the sign saying that I could get to the speed that I was going.
Yes,
and I got hit, and then I'm so sorry. It was my very first time ever being pulled over.
Oh my God, you were so mad.
I'm still mad to this day.
You're still so mad.
Like, it was my very first, like, I was certain that they were going to give me a pass. I was certain because I'd never been pulled over before. And like I said, it's like, I think it was even my birthday, if I remember correctly. Like,
there's no way it was your birthday.
It was like, I was up. Yeah.
You were
I
visiting
was up with
me.
You, Jay. Like, I brought Jay up.
There's no way it was your birthday. That'd be cruel and unusual punishment.
It was pretty damn close.
It was close to my birthday.
It was like, I think I'd come up the weekend, like, before it or something like that. But it was...
Oh, then fuck that. If I was a policeman, I'd slap you with a ticket.
But I was like, I'd never been pulled over. And I was certain that I was at least going to get a warning. I was like, it's okay.
No.
I'll just get a warning. Like, I've never been pulled over before. I've never sped before. And then he came back and he slapped me with like a $200 ticket.
Did you try batting your eyes real hard?
No, but I was about to be like, are you fucking kidding me? You fucking oink oink pig. You fucking like,
whoa.
Like I
will zap you.
I was saying, and then I would have gotten in more trouble, so I didn't. But I was just like, fine, and like he left and I was devastated.
He did, in his defense, because we looked it up later.
A speed trap. The
amount that you were speeding would have been a catastrophic amount of money. He dinged it down like 2 levels.
Or he could have just not given me.
Or he could have just let it pass.
It was my first time. It was like I did not have a record, squeaky clean record.
And now you're just soiled.
Yeah.
You dirty whore.
Now, the second time I got pulled over, I deserved that.
No, that one was on me.
That was on me. I was both speeding and I was in the wrong lane. So,
then
that one I deserved. That one
they
I was like,
will
shit.
Get you.
I was like, I think if I was one or the other, I think if I was in the wrong lane but not speeding, or if I was in a different lane and speeding, I think I maybe could have gotten away with it because it was only like 10 miles over. But the fact that I was doing both in the wrong lane,
nope.
I think like that one I was like, okay, I deserve. And I will say now that policeman, he was kind. He was kind. He was kind, and he was like, I'm not going to give you a ticket for the speeding, but I am going to give you a ticket for being in the right lane, for being in the wrong lane. And here's a coupon, or not a coupon, but like here's a brochure for like if you want to like get in like the MN pass or whatever.
Here's a coupon for being 20% off your next ticket.
No, so that time I did deserve it, but that police officer was nice.
If you're a police officer and you've gotten this far, you're doing fine. As long as you give people a little, oh my God, Logan's mad, but I think you're fine. Anyway, that's how I gave the performance of a lifetime. Well, also got the shit scared out of me.
Yeah, you did.
I did. God,
I remember you telling me this story, and I was like, at the same time, I can totally believe it because you get into it when you're driving and you're singing.
So I was doing so good. And you want to know the funny thing? I didn't even get that part.
You didn't even get Well, because they pulled the bamboozle of a lifetime on you. Like, they basically promised you the motherfucking part. And then,
it is okay.
I'm not okay with it. I'm still pissed off.
I'm not okay. I hold on to grudges.
Yeah. Fucking blankety blank name of the director.
Name
there.
redacted.
Yeah, fucking name redacted. Totally screwed you over.
It all turned out perfectly, and I didn't get a ticket.
You got the award too.
She also got an award.
Oh, fuck. God.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't worry, everyone. I am talented. You don't have to worry about me. I'm fine.
Oh, yeah, no, it's not a matter of that you're not talented.
And my rendition of I Dreamed a Dream will make you cry tears to God.
Well, apparently it made the director feel some kind of emotion until you were funny about it. That wasn't.
It made that officer give me clemency.
Well, it wasn't I Dream a Dream. It was the other one.
Fantine's death scene. Yeah.
It was Little Fall of Rain, wasn't it?
No, I did Fantine's death scene.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like, oh, you had to ruin it by being funny at the end. And I was like,
you should have given me the fucking part.
Bitch.
I'm not. I was a bitch that year, or my senior year. I was a bitch I actually was not. I feel like my bitchiness was vastly underrated, or vastly overstated. I was just trying to be funny. I feel like, and it was always misconstrued as bitchiness. Except for when I yelled at Mr. Name Redacted.
Mr. Name Redacted. No one is listening anymore. Everybody leaves at like the 10-minute mark, except for Tori, who listens to us, and I'm sure she is loving this. She's just having a blast.
Yeah, I let him have it.
Oh my gosh.
Respect him.
Oh, okay. All right. If you want to follow us, we're on all of the social medias. We're even on Facebook, even though no one should be on Facebook anymore because it's old. But you can send us an email.
I don't think we've done a single thing on that.
I don't know how to get on it, honest to God. But you can email us at livingscarypodcast@gmail.com or livingvicariously@gmail.com if you want to tell us any of your sibling stories that you'd like shouted out on the podcast. If you want to tell us any horror movies you'd like us to review or talk about, or any murders you want me to talk about. And we're on Twitter and Tumblr and Instagram. And you should message us and let us know that you like us. And tell a friend that also listens to podcasts. Because that's how people listen to podcasts. That is I looked it up. It's the main way people listen to podcasts.
If you didn't know.
People like recommendations. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, I'm rambling because it's the end of my second drink. Logan, you should take us out.
Oh, I can never think of it. I can't think of anything more.
We did too many.
We're almost at 100 episodes.
100.
Almost 100 times of me just going, boo, I can't think of anything anymore. I can't think of a new way to say it.